Hi guys, in this video I wanted to have a go at making another face cake, this time AARRRG from Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia. So there was a new film out the other weekend, which I did watch, and I've watched all the different series of Troll Hunters, and I really enjoy it. So, and it's one of the characters I really like, so I wanted to have a bit of a go at making him. So I'm doing it on a fairly small cake, guys. It's only a 7-inch cake that I've got here, because it's only me in this one. So I'm starting with just the round cake, but I want to shape it by cutting a bit off the tops and the sides. And then I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom as well. But I don't want to cut too deep off like the sides and the bottom. I want to keep like a full circle on the bottom half of my cake, if that makes sense. And I'm going to cut out where the eye area goes as well. I've maybe gone a bit too deep with the brows, but it's fine. I'm just pushing in with my balling tool where I want the eye sockets to kind of go, or where I want them to be a little bit deeper, and then I'm just going to cover the whole thing in my chocolate buttercream. Anywhere where I've cut too much cake off, I'll just use the offcuts to put back on to sort of fill that back in again. And I'm using a flexible smoother then to go around and just smooth down that buttercream a bit. So you can pop yours in the fridge at this point just to let that buttercream firm up. And what I'm going to do is cover the board. So I've put dark blue on the top, which is going to be the sky, and then I'm putting a green on the bottom part of my board. Don't worry if you get little creases and things in it, because this is going to become the fur that's on like the top of his body. So I'm just using my Dresden tool to put in lots of lines and pressing fairly firmly to make them fairly deep. And you can use a picture of AARRRG that you find online. I actually don't know if I say his name quite right. Is it AARRRG or AARRRG? I should know, I've watched it lots of times and yet I still can't get his name right. I'm terrible with names. Okay, so I'm just putting like a strip of green around the outer bit of the cake, sort of the side bits of the cake, and then a little strip sort of from the top of his head. Then we're going to create 2 teardrops in like a pale grey fondant, and we're going to use these for the ears. So I'm going to press them down a little bit, put a little line across them. The ears might be a little bit on the big side. We'll see what it looks like when it's finished. And I'm going to put a bit more of the grey just over the face area. So gently rubbing it down, and then I'm using that big balling tool that I've got to just rub down in the eye sockets. And I'm just putting in a little bit at the sort of bottom part of his face, just so that the fur will go on there shortly. And then we want 2 little cone shapes kind of for the horns that come off the top of his face, or head, off the top of his head. And then let's put some horizontal lines across. So I'm going to put a little line in where I want the mouth to go. It's going fairly low down on the face. And then I'm just going to stick another little sausage piece in the same colour on, just sort of under that line for his bottom lip. And then I'm just going to put in my eye sockets again, a little bit deeper. Don't worry if you go through the fondant, because we're going to put eyeballs in there. So I've got white fondant in there. And then I'm going to cut some more grey to kind of add a little bit of a lower and upper eyelid. Now I think maybe the eyes stick out a little bit too much on this one. And I maybe put the upper and lower lids on a little bit too big. Like, I think I should have left his eyes a bit more rounded than what they have ended up looking. And you can manipulate the fondant to change the shape of his face a little bit. And don't worry if you can see between sort of the side of the face and the ear, the buttercream coming through, because we're going to add his green fur to that anyway. So let's put some white in for his teeth. So again, little teardrops, and they want to come from above that line that you've put in for the mouth. So it look like they're sticking out from behind that bottom lip. 2 on each side. And then we're going to do his nose. Now, I would say the nose is maybe a purpley black colour, but this is the blue I had left over from the top of the board. So you don't have to do it in the same colour, but what I thought was, because I've already got it open, I'll use it and then I can paint other colours on top. So the shape is, I think it's a difficult shape to describe the shape of his nose, but I've tried to cut it so it's got a bit of a point at the bottom. And I put a line in for 2 sort of kind of creases at the above at the top of it, and then 2 nostrils. And I'm just trying to texturize it a little bit. So this is my Silvia Mancini texture brush. Guys, I'll put links below to all the different things that I've used. I do sell most of the things in my online shop, so you don't have to buy them from me, by the way. It's just so you guys know what I've used. So the rest of the green fondant now, I'm just rolling it into small pieces, and then I'm putting hairlines in. So where it's going to go on the side of the face, I'm going to keep it fairly short. And then this bigger piece is going to go underneath for like the chin. And you can always trim it with some scissors. Just make sure they are clean and scissors that you're just going to use for food. And I'm just going to keep going with this. So keeping it longer near the bottom section of the face. And it's going to get shorter as it comes up the sides. If there's any bits where you can see a bit of chocolate buttercream coming through, just give it a little bit more hair on there. Of green fondant hair, I mean, guys. I'm just going to do that all the way around the face. Not so much at the top of the head though, more sort of the bottom, under the chin, around the sides, in front of the ears, and just a very tiny bit in front of the horns. Keeping it really short there in front of the horns. Have you guys ever watched Tales of Arcadia? I do really like the cartoon. I originally started watching it just because I like the artwork, but I did enjoy it. I did try and amend the eyes. I didn't like them, so I tried to push them deeper in the face. Honestly, I think I made more of a mess by changing them. But I'm going to put in a pale green disc for the iris and then a black disc for the pupil. And then what I'm going to do is use a green edible pen and go just around the outer edge of the green circle. And you can blend it in just with a slightly damp brush. So I tried to do a little bit of a black line around sort of the eyelid area with my edible black pen. Again, I'm not sure if it needed that or not, guys. Not very helpful, am I, with this one? Telling you lots of things that you don't need to do. But to add some colour to the fur, I've just diluted some black edible powder. I've diluted it quite a lot, and now I'm using dipping solution. You can use rejuvenated spirit, clear alcohol, you can use lemon essence, you can use water, but it doesn't work quite as well with water. But by having it really diluted, it's just going to run into all those creases and lines that I drew before. And then we'll do the same on the face. So keep it fairly watered down. And just paint on anywhere that you want to look a bit more shaded, a little bit darker. I'm just darkening the green a tiny bit in the eyes. I'm just going to use some powdered colour, the ivy green, mixed to a paint for that. And then we're putting a white dot in each eye, just for the little reflection of light. And then on my brush, I've got a tiny bit of diluted green again, and I'm just going to gently dab it on the face. So your brush doesn't want to be too wet for that. And then a very, very diluted bit of brown just on the bottom lip. And if you want to dab over bits of grey on the face so it looks more kind of stone-like, you can do. If you want to darken the eye area so it looks like it's deeper set in the face, again, just go over with a little bit of diluted black. And I'm just going to highlight some areas on the nose a little bit with a bit of white. So it doesn't look as blue now. I've darkened the nose anyway, but you can always just paint a bit of purple on the nose if it doesn't look purple enough, if you've used blue. If not, you could always just use purple under the nose with the original fondant. And if you want to add any sort of lighter bits of hair, just gently go over with a brush. And I'm using white, but keep it fairly dry rather than too watery for this one. So there he is, Arj from Troll Hunters. And he is my favourite character, and I was desperate to give him a go. He doesn't look quite the same as in the cartoon, but there he is, he's done. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget to check out my other videos and any new ones that we add weekly. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.